I am making a battlewas deck profile for post Rage of the Abyss. Battlewas is a deck I really like just because, well, it can be described as knockoff Blackwings. Just because a lot of the Battlewas have effects that if you control one, you can summon another one, or, well, they'd also be described as being a deck that would swarm the field. But anyway, Battlewas was a deck I liked since it first appeared in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 in, I think it was Season 3? No, Season 2, I believe. Anyway, it was when they were at the Synchro Dimension, that arc. But Battlewas was mainly a burn deck. And I'll just go ahead and start the deck because I'm butchering this part. I'm sorry. Anyway, starting with the monsters, I play 3 copies of Battlewas Dart the Hunter. Dart the Hunter has the effect that when your Battlewas monster destroys a monster at battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can discard this to inflict damage equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. And then there's another effect where you can target one other insect monster you control, and it becomes treated as a tuner for the rest of this turn. Or it gets treated as a tuner. However, you cannot summon the extra deck for the rest of the turn except for insect monsters, which is fine because every monster in this deck is an insect. Then I play 3 copies of Battlewas Pin the Bullseye. Pin the Bullseye is a free body if you control an insect monster. And then you can only use the effect of Pin the Bullseye once per turn, where you can activate its effect and inflict 200 points of damage for each Pin the Bullseye you control. Which, it's just 200 damage, but if you have 3 of them in play, then you can inflict 600 damage. And then it's just a little poke thing. The damage isn't less important as much as it's a free level 1 body. Then I play 3 copies of Battlewas Sting the Poison. Sting the Poison is one of the more important Battlewas for the deck, as has the effect that if it's normal or special summoned, you can add a Battlewas from your deck to your hand except for another copy of itself. And then it also has the quick effect of being able to tribute one other insect monster you control, target an effect monster your opponent controls, and negate its effects till the end of the turn. And then you can only use each effect of Sting the Poison once per turn. Sting the Poison is one of the monsters I prefer to summon back from the graveyard in defense position if I'm going to leave it face up on the field for its negation effect. And then next I play 3 copies of Twinbow the Attacker. Twinbow the Attacker is a free level 3 body if you control an insect monster. However, you can only special summon it once per turn that way. If I remember correctly, it gets 2 attacks. It also has the random effect of if you want to leave it on the field, it gets 2 attacks during each battle phase. But the main thing you want is that it's a free body that locks you into insects. I only mentioned the gets 2 attacks during each battle phase because there have been times where that actually comes up. Because if you have 2 of them and your opponent has nothing, then that's 4 attacks with 1,000 attack. Next, I play 3 copies of Battlewasp Arbalest the Rapid Fire. Arbalest has the effect that when it's specifically normal summoned, you can target level 3 or lower insect in your graveyard and special summon that monster in defense position. If this card's owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can then send a Battlewasp monster from your hand you can special summon a Battlewas monster from your hand or deck. So usually what I'll do with this, if my hands are really bad, is I'll just set it, then my opponent destroys it so I can summon Sting the Poison. Sting the Poison can get another Arbalest so that on my next turn I can normal summon it, bring back Sting. Sting gets me Pin. I can special summon Pin the Bullseye, and then just be able to make a level 7 Synchro. And then next I play 3 copies of Battlewasp Rapier the Onslaught. Rapier the Onslaught has the effect that if you control no face-up monsters, or the only face-up monsters you control are insects, you can activate its effect to then discard one other insect monster to place a Battlewasp Wind from your deck face up on your spell trap zone, and then you can special summon this monster. It is special summon, right? Not normal summon? Okay, yeah. However, it does lock you into insects from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. And then it also has the effect of you can banish this card from your graveyard to reduce the level of one insect monster you control by 1. and you can only use that effective Battle Wasp Rapier the Onslaught once per turn. So it's just a free body that gets you to the archetype Black Whirlwind. And then it can also be used from the graveyard for level modulation effects. Moving on to the spells, I play 1 copy of Called by the Grave. This is just to prevent a hand trap that would just prevent me from being able to play. Then next, I play 2 copies of Summoning Swarm. Summoning Swarm has the effect that if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, right? Okay, never mind. You target level 4 lower Battle Wasp monsters in your graveyard up to the number of monsters your opponent controls. Special summon them, and then you can only activate 1 Summoning Swarm per turn. And then it also locks you into only insects from the extra deck. And then next, I play 3 copies of Insect Invitation. Insect Invitation makes it so that face-up monsters your opponent controls that were not summoned this turn become insect. That doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure it's meant to parallel more with if you want to use Insect Barrier to prevent your opponent's insect monsters from attacking, but I refuse to play Insect Barrier. But you can only use each of the following effects of Insect Invitation once per turn, where you can target 3 of your banished insect monsters, shuffle them into the deck, and draw a card. And then during the end phase, this card is in the graveyard because it was sent to this turn, or sent there from your hand this turn. You can place this face-up card in you can place this card face-up in your spell and trap zone. The main reason I'm using it is just because it lets you recycle banished insects to then be able to draw a card. And then this deck actually does banish monsters a lot. And then next, I play 3 copies of Armed Rebellion. Armed Rebellion has the effect that you can special summon an insect monster with 1,000 attack from your hand or deck, and then if you special summon from the extra deck, you deck send a monster you control to the graveyard. Also, you can only special summon for the rest of the turn after this effect resolves, except insects. But the main thing with this is that it's another starter, as you can activate it, summon Sting the Poison. Sting the Poison gets you whatever Battle Wasp you need. And then you can just go on from there. And then it also has the effect that if a face-up insect synchro you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, while this card's in your graveyard, you can banish it from your graveyard. Or you can banish this card, add a Summoning Swarm from your deck to your hand. So you can just use this to also add a Summoning Swarm so you can try to make a comeback, I guess. And then next, I play 3 copies of Battle Wasp Wind. Battle Wasp Wind has the effect that twice per turn, if a Battle Wasp monster is normal or special summoned, then you can, add or summon? You add a Battle Wasp with less attack than that monster from your deck to your hand. And then once per turn, you can target an insect monster you control with a level. This turn, you can treat it as a tuner, so this can make it so that any of your monsters can be tuners. So you can summon Sting the Poison. Congratulations, Sting the Poison is now a tuner with this. So you have a level 1. Anyway, next I play 3 copies of Revival Swarm. Revival Swarm has the effect that you can target a Battle Wasp in your graveyard and special summon it. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard to target an insect monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects until the end of the next turn. So you can use this to protect a Battle Wasp you really want to be protected. It's like, every once in a while I'll use this to then protect a Battle Wasp Sting the Poison that I have on the field in defense position for its negation effect. And then, but that's it for the spells. Moving on to the traps. For the traps, I play 3 copies of Gravity Collapse. Since Battle Wasp is a synchro deck, I figured Gravity Collapse would be a decent going first card. As mixed so that when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can activate Gravity Collapse by attributing a synchro monster you control to then negate that monster's summon, destroy it, and then your opponent cannot summon monsters for the rest of the turn. So you can just use it to try to prevent your opponent from summoning anything, and then you can swarm the field and then be able to just OTK. And then lastly for the traps, I play 3 copies of Battle Wasp Nest. Battle Wasp nests to make so that when your Battle Wasp monster is targeted for an attack, you can summon a Battle Wasp monster from your hand or deck, and if you do, place a counter on this card. Then end the battle phase. You can only use this effect. Yeah, this effect of Battle Wasp Net. I don't know why my brain stopped working for a second. I'm sorry. But you can only use that effect of Battle Wasp Nest once per turn. And then, if it has 2 or more counters during the end phase, it gets sent to the graveyard. Which, I actually found a funny interaction with Dimension Shifter and Macrocosmos, where if Battle Wasp's Nest has 2 or more counters during the end phase, but Macro or Shifter is in play, it actually will stay on the field because it can't be sent to the graveyard, which I think is actually kind of funny. However, that ruling might have been changed because this was quite a few years ago. But that is it for the main deck. I am still tweaking ratios a bit, so there might be a few changes later on, but for now, this is just what I like. And then moving on to the extra deck. For the extra deck, I play 3 copies of Battle Wasp Azusa the Ghost Bow. Azusa the Ghost Bow has the effect that when your opponent takes effect damage from another Battle Wasp monster effect, then Azusa's effect will just inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack points of that monster. Which I actually really like that effect of Azusa just because it's not actually an activated effect, it's just a conditional effect that isn't triggered. It's kind of like, what was its name? Doom Virus Dragon. It's a lingering effect. But Azusa also has the effect that you can only... Okay, never mind. It's not a lingering effect like I remember it being. It's a hard once per turn effect. My bad. I apologize for getting it wrong. It's been a while since I looked at this card. I apologize. So it's a once per turn. If your opponent takes effect damage from a Battle Wasp, you can inflict a damage equal to your opponent equal to that Battle Wasp's attack points. And then it also has the effect of when a monster is destroyed by battle with your Battle Wasp monster while it's cards in your graveyard, you can summon it in defense position, but banish it leaves the field. So, most of the time what you do with this is you summon it along with another Battle Wasp that has a lot of attack that does effect damage. You deal damage with that monster. Then Azusa will deal even more damage, and then you can... Typically what you'll do is you'll then have Azusa tune with another Battle Wasp, and then Synchro Climb. And then if your opponent destroys a monster, then you can special summon Azusa and then have its burden damage for next turn. And then next I play 3 copies of Battle Wasp Sachi the Ceremonial Bow. Sachi the Ceremonial Bow has the effect that when synchro summoned, you can treat it as a tuner. And once per turn, you can return a continuous spell you control to the hand, so you can normal summon a Battle Wasp monster during your main phase this turn. In addition to your normal summoner set, you can only gain that effect once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can inflict 100 points of damage to your opponent for each of your banished Battle Wasp monsters. Which, like I said, this deck banishes a lot, but those effects don't usually come into effect until late game. And then next, I play 3 copies of Battle Wasp Halberd the Charge. Halberd the Charge has the effect that once per battle, during damage calculation only, if this card attacks an opponent's monster with equal or higher attack, as a quick effect, you can have the attack of the opposing monster, so it can attack over anything that is, that's stronger than 2,500 and weaker than 5,000. The best part of this is that it does not target, so the only monsters that can't attack over that are bigger than it are monsters that are just unaffected by other cards' effects. And then when Halberd the Charge inflicts battle damage to your opponent, they take 200 damage for each Battle Wasp monster you control. Which, Halberd the Charge is usually what I like having on the field with Azusa the Ghost Bow. because you can have Halberd attack, it attacks over something, it dealt damage, and then its own effect will then inflict at least 400, and then Azusa will deal another 2,500. And then next, I play 3 copies of Hama the Conquering Bow. Hama has the effect that if it's synchro summoned, or if it was synchro summoned using a synchro monster's material, it gets a second attack during each battle phase. And you can only use each of the following effects once per turn, where you can inflict battle damage, or where when this inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can make all monsters your opponent control currently lose 1,000 attack and defense. Or at the end of the battle phase, if this card did not attack, or if your opponent hasn't taken any battle damage during that phase, I got it wrong, I apologize. So I'll say it again. At the end of the battle phase, if your opponent has not taken any damage, you can then activate Hama's effect to then inflict... How much was it? 300 damage to your opponent for each battlewas monster in your graveyard. That is usually the bigger, or the most amount of damage that you'll do with this deck, as you tend to fill your your graveyard with battlewas monsters very quickly. And then next, I play 1 copy of battlewas Grand Partisan the Revolution. Grand Partisan has the effect that it cannot be destroyed by card effects. Insect monsters or insect synchro monsters you control gain 200 attack for each of your banished insect monsters. And then if this card is banished, you can special summon it and then destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of your banished insect monsters. And then inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each card that was destroyed. And then the card that actually does all the banishing is 2 copies of battlewas Ballista the Armageddon. Ballista the Armageddon has the effect that if it's special summoned, you can banish all insect monsters from your graveyard. To then make all monsters your opponent currently controls lose 500 attack and defense for each banished insect. And this card attacks a defense position monster, does piercing. And then if this card and its owner's control is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon 3 of your banished level 11 or lower insects. Another thing you can do in this deck is something I was doing, but I wanted to keep the deck around 40, so I had to take them out. Which you could also play cards like Resonance Insect and then either Beargrim, Emperor of the Shield Forest Crown, or Doomdozer, just because those 2 insects require you to banish 2 or 3 to summon them. And then Doomdozer just, when it deals damage, makes your opponent send the top 2 cards of the deck to the graveyard. Whereas Beargrim actually makes it so that your opponent can't respond to your spells and traps, which I'll probably end up adding Beargrim to this deck, even if I don't play the Resonance Insect. But Beargrim also has the effect of it is a dark hole for all non-insect and plant monsters on the field. However, it cannot attack directly the turn it uses that effect. And it's also like a 3,500 attack body. I really should be playing Beargrim. But anyway, that is it for my battlewas deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas for decks you'd like to see me made in the future, or decks like to see face each other, feel free to comment down below. I always read the comments. Thank you for watching.